Being a fan of someone's music goes a long way. Today's guest brings back so many memories for me. It goes back to 2002 when I heard his song Hard Road on the Much Music Countdown for the first time. And I'm not trying to age him. I mean, he's got an amazing, unique sound. Please welcome 15-time Juno Award winner Sam Roberts. How's it going? Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, thank you. I have to. I don't want to sort of fact check too much, but we haven't
Yeah,
won 50. We've been nominated maybe 15 times, but
15.
we haven't taken home 15
Oh,
of the big
nominated.
awards. I think we're at 6. So just to keep it on the level, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, still
But I
6 is
like the
good.
sound of it. I like the sound. 15 sounds, that's something to shoot for.
It could be, right? That's me doing all my research into the I read off Wikipedia and I was like, "What? That's pretty crazy." Um, you got a new album, All of Us. Kind of a surreal time for you guys going back on tour. Um, hopefully things are opening up so you guys can start Sam Roberts Band can get on the road and get some of this music out to the masses live. Like how antsy are you to get out there and sing live to people? Uh,
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to express this sort of the level of anticipation that we've been sort of living with, and also just uncertainty that we've all been living with. And again, this isn't just particular to musicians or you know, creative folks. This is everybody just sort of waiting for this green light to return to the a so-called normal life. And I think where it really hit home for us was last fall, putting out a new record and realizing that for the first time in, I guess, the history of the band, that we weren't going to be able to go out and follow up that release with live performance. And in that sort of, the dawning of that realization came this, I guess, the recognition that it's how interwoven the two things are. That when you make new music, it's not just about the recording process. It's not just about sort of making it available to the public. It's about then hand delivering it from town to town, playing it live, and how much that sort of cements the idea of a new record. So it feels like we've had this kind of big open end, just sort of this open door swinging in the breeze. And I'm really looking forward to just, playing it. I don't want to say closing the chapter on this record, but at least making the record feel like it's complete.
Yeah, all of us had a chance to listen to it. Wolf Tracks, the beginning song at the very top of this record. It was such an ambient experience. When you write songs, I know you've got your own unique sound. I do have to say, we talked about how I've only seen you once play live
Mm-hmm.
of all my um, time being a fan of your music, and you sound exactly like the records, if not better. So it's fantastic. But Wolf Tracks is a very unique sound. It's an ambient sound. What went into writing that song? Like, you've got such a unique song writing style. Like, how do you compile the song and make it sound the way it came out? Where did that start?
So much of the songwriting process, not to sort of I guess try to unravel the mystery of songwriting, but so much of it just happens by accident, or at least it starts by accident. And I'm sitting in the room here in my basement where I write songs, and it could be the day of the week, which instrument I decide to pick up first that morning. But I kind of have a ritual where I come downstairs and I try to make it feel as much. I want to legitimize my working life, so I try to treat it like a, what I call, an office job or something. And go, and sometimes it's the guitar, sometimes it'll, sitting down at the piano. And for a song like Wolf Tracks, I just turned on a synthesizer, and things just start happening, and they're not all good and they're not all meaningful necessarily. But when I think part of becoming a more experienced songwriter is recognizing when something good is happening and then chasing it and honing in on it or focusing in on it. So, Wolf Tracks, like any other song, just sort of begins, just serendipitously. And and then it's up to you as the songwriter to kind of give it shape and make it into something meaningful. So, but I kind of knew with that song that it was going to be the first, whatever our new record, it was the first song I wrote for our record. And I knew that it was going to be the first song. I wanted it to be the sort of the entry point or the gateway to this next record, which is kind of strange to say because I hadn't written any of the other material. So how do you know that that's going to be the first song? But I just had a pretty strong feeling about it. So in its own way, that song ends up informing how all the other songs take shape as well. It's a bit of a domino effect.
How hard is it for you to fit the lyrics once you write the instrumentals into the song? I know you've spoken before how they kind of sometimes bounce back at you like an organ being rejected from a body.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you know when it's right?
Oh, I mean, that can be, sometimes it happens right away. It's just like a hand in glove situation. And, the two things are happy, the words and the music and the melody. In a lot of cases, though, those words will just keep coming back at you to say, no, this isn't right. This isn't right. And then you just chip away. I mean, writing words is such a personal thing. And when you sing it as well, you're sort of, it's the most exposed you feel in the songwriting process. And even if you're alone in the room, it can be a bit embarrassing, to be honest with you. You're sitting there, you're singing these words and you feel a little bit silly, and you kind of have to get over that self-consciousness that exists, in the first kind of passes through when you're writing lyrics, and eventually you sort of gain a bit of momentum. You start getting used to the sound of your own voice. Everybody knows what it's like to hear your voice on an answering machine, and you think to yourself, "What? That's what I sound like." Well, I still feel like that about my singing voice after all these years of writing songs and recording songs and singing on stage. So you kind of have to get over that self-consciousness, and once you do, hopefully you're off to the races at that point.
Do you ever have times where you sit down and you just cannot get a song or anything together that day, and it's like you kind of like writer's block, right? Do you ever just, what do you do to kind of cure that? You just go on to the next riff, or just walk away for a bit and come back?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, sometimes you have to just sort of bite the bullet, because it's going to happen, and it's going to happen a lot. So you have to sort of have a bit of a plan, right? Like what you're going to do when that, and sometimes you walk away. Sometimes you just say, you know what, I'm going on to the next riff, or I'm going to go mow the lawn, or I'm going to do something completely different. I'm just going to check out. And then other times you have to sort of say, no, I'm not going to get bucked off the horse that easily, and I'm going to stay with this until I have some kind of breakthrough. And those are obviously the most punishing sort of journeys to be on, but they end up, if you can persevere and get through to that moment where you say, okay, now I think I'm onto something good, it's worth the struggle.
I fully agree with you. Let's talk about your tour. I mean, the upcoming tour, Mono Whales Chaos, which is absolutely amazing to see that guy's still going. Matt Mays, and you guys are headlining. This is a pretty special tour. Obviously coming out of what just happened in the last year and a half, right? So I'm really happy to see that you guys will be back on the road. How excited are you guys to finally just go play?
And it's hard to believe that's actually happening. And some part of me is like, until I'm up on the stage, I won't believe it. But we've played a few shows in the last couple of months that have, I guess, been indicators as to what lies ahead. And it was, we played at the Calgary Stampede a few weeks back, and just being out there in front of, living, breathing human beings again, and just seeing the release from the stage. Obviously, my perspective is, I'm looking at my bandmates, and everybody's just got a grin from ear to ear. So happy to be back up in I guess what we think of as our natural habitat, but also just seeing the crowd and how much this means to them, how much it's been a difficult thing for people who love live music to not be able to, come out and participate in something that's obviously very, very important to them. So there's a real feeling of letting go, and I'm I'm going to be so happy to be a sort of facilitator, I suppose, of all of that letting go and just bringing people back together, that communal experience of being in a crowd. There's just nothing quite like it, and it is very fundamentally human on so many levels. So to be sort of be there to witness it, but also to engage in it and just sort of energize that process. I'm really looking forward to it.
I think your music, like just talking about how unique your music, your sound is, it does bring people back together, and it keeps people together. It's there's so many great songs, and I don't know where to start, but Don't Walk Away, Eileen. Who is Eileen? Can you tell me?
Eileen was a fictional character. I wish I was talking to somebody recently about this. I wish I've got to go and rewrite the history, of all these songs to come up with better stories for who Eileen was, for example. But the honest truth is, we talked earlier about accidents, and sometimes it's just sort of what name fits the song in the moment. Now, of course, the idea of an Eileen is, that can be more or less personal depending on, who you're talking about. But the actual Eileen, is a total. And the thing is that there's this other song, very famous song, which I love very much, which is called "Come On, Eileen." And I couldn't even think of a more original, we're already talking about this ultra famous classic song, and I couldn't even think of another name. I don't know why, but it just stuck, and that was it.
It's what, there's so many songs you probably have that you have to sit down and actually think about the time and place you were in just to remember what it's all about. Brother Down, Hard Road, one of my favorite songs. Ascension is a good song as well, off the new record. It's got a wicked riff. When you come up with lyrics, like here's a lyric right now off Hard Road: "I've been dying since the day I was born." Like, where did that come from?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. It's sometimes you just feel like you're sort of reaching out there into the air and pulling out ideas. Sometimes, you're talking before about the sort of relationship between the lyrics, but also trying to write lyrics over music that already exists, and that's how I write songs a lot. Which I'll write the whole song out. I'll have all the parts, figured out, from keyboard parts to drum beats to guitar riffs, and then all of a sudden you have to, in my mind, the pressure of not ruining all this nice music that you've just written with bad lyrics. And once in a while, the sort of music gods are smiling on you, and they'll just sort of throw you a line, and the line just fits the spirit of the song. It also, it can be, it has to feel good to sing it. You have to feel like you mean it. You have to feel a sense of ownership, I suppose, or connection to what you're singing. And that was one of those lines, just for example, where it just sort of, well, there it is. Other lines have to be chiseled into shape, where you kind of like constantly just twisting and manipulating everything until it fits right. And again, until you feel like you can deliver it with conviction.
It's like playing a game of Tetris, right? At some point it's going to fit. And, you've had such a great journey through your career. Sam Roberts Band, was it 2002? You came out with the Inhuman Condition EP, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
2001 was the sort of unofficial launch of the Inhuman Condition. And then 2002 is when it kind of got, Brother Down started getting some airplay on the radio, and we signed a record deal to an independent label called Maple Music. And that was kind of the beginning of our official journey.
Just looking on, like, I've been doing some research for quite some time. And, being a music lover, I do listen to you, but I also listen to other music, but focusing on an individual, a band, and sitting down and listening to everything they have put out in the last, few years is absolutely amazing. When I look up you on YouTube, I see your performances live. I see a playlist, and I went through that playlist, just put it on. I'm like, all these songs, like, there's so many great singles that you've written. You have great material and such a unique sound, and I've been a fan since the beginning, like I've said. And you know what? It's something to be said. Like, Yeah, I feel ya, yeah, Brother Down, Hard Road, Don't Walk Away, Eileen. Like there's so many great tunes, man. And I'm really happy that you were able to keep pushing out great songs with your band.
Yeah, me too, man. Well, thank you, first of all. But I mean, just hearing you say it, it's kind of, I think it reminds you, you know, I guess it's like opening the door at the beginning is one thing. And we were lucky we had a song, we had Brother Down playing on the radio, and it definitely opened a door. And that door was a difficult door, a rusty hinge door that we'd been trying to open for quite some time prior to that, a good decade of kind of slogging away, trying to find somebody to champion the band. But what you don't realize when you get that first opportunity is that it is just the beginning, and that the difficult part is what's ahead. And yeah, it's obviously writing music that will be meaningful to people, but also writing music that you can stand behind. And I don't know if being proud of is the right word necessarily, but yeah, just music that you feel is like true to you, and to do that in a way that still can sustain a career over time. And that becomes the sort of weird chemistry that needs to work out in order to keep making record after record after record.
I think for me, I think of your music as making me feel really good when I listen to it, and
Well, that's good.
it's something that I don't. People love it. Like when they hear it, if they hear it for the first time, they love it. My children were able to hear your music for the first time, Brother Down, all the songs. Obviously, maybe kind of annoyed after a few days of me talking about it, but they love it, right? It's so cool. This is a career that I hope lasts you a longer time, going on from today onwards, man. It's you got
Well,
so
thank
much
you.
to come. I'm so excited for this tour. I hopefully will be able to come see you at some point if you ever
I
come
hope
to
so
Toronto.
too. I hope so too. And thank you for the thanks for the well wishes. Same goes back to you for sure.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean the fire is still burning hot and bright in not just myself but my bandmates, and I'm representing them here today. And what I love about our group is that we don't dwell on the past too much. We don't sort of relive our past successes or failures past a certain point. And we still talk a lot about the future. And I think as long as you have your gaze directed towards the horizon, and the inspiration will be there to write more music and play good shows.
I think the one lyric that kind of sticks out to me is we're all in this together. Keep moving, don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I would kind of coin to that what you just mentioned there, right? It's a saying that you can kind of look at now, and it also relates to what happened the last year and a half, right? A lot of your music relates to some of the sayings you have said. It kind of relates to things that we've all endured through this last year and a half, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
cool to have that kind of be the guideline for me to just look back and just kind of hear that, right? It makes me feel good to finally speak with you, Sam. It's been such a great time. In the end, this show is called Meet Me for Coffee, and do you enjoy coffee at all?
I enjoy coffee too much,
Yes. Okay. Great.
and as I had more kids, I have 3 kids now. My coffee consumption goes up exponentially with each child that I had. So I don't know how many cups a day I'm on right now, but it's essential
Yes.
to my survival and my sanity for sure.
What do you take in your coffee?
Just milk, just a bit of
Awesome.
milk. That's it. I weaned myself off sugar when I was in my late teens, I think, and then there's no going back. Once in a while, I like a nice black coffee too. But yeah, every morning I have one of those stovetop, Italian stovetop, and make a pot of that, and yeah, it's gone.
Well, you
Moments
heard it here
later,
first. This is great. We got Sam Roberts coffee on recording now. This is awesome. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Sam. Let's do this again soon.
Anytime, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and you stay well, and we'll see you at the concert.